While wearing pajamas. That's just fantastic. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Carte Blanche. My name is Barbara Palumbo. If you don't know who I am, Google me. There's pictures of me all over the internet, but that's a different story. Anyway, so we're joined here today. I'm not going to go into like big introductions for these guys because all three of them have been on panels already. We kind of know who they are. Anish Bhatt, and yes, I did verify it's Anish. We have Leonie Flückiger. Thank you, Wei. And Mishaal, Kanoo, who we just saw not too long ago. They're going to be today's victims. You guys all week were tortured by Dom, pretty much threatened for the most part, into filling out these white cards and putting them in a very large gray box outside. So we've got an incredible amount of questions. Some of the questions are going to go to all the members. Some of the questions are going to go just to specific members of this panel. And you guys did great, I have to be honest. I kind of briefly went through them. Some of them are really interesting. Some of them are a little controversial. We're going to see how it goes. So I'm actually going to start with an all question. And I'm going to read these exactly how they're written. So this is going to go to all. We are going to start with you, Leonie, because ladies first. Is watches a fashion? Is watches a fashion, Leonie? Is they a fashion?
I believe there is, yes. For me, not. I only have one, but I believe people collecting watches match the strap to the car, so that's what people keep telling me. So I'm an industry outsider. So I feel like if you can afford it, or if you're really into watches, you can always match them with clothes and cars and styles. So yeah, I believe so.
So you believe watches is a fashion?
Yes.
I believe that too. Mishaal, is watches a fashion?
I'm not sure how to answer this. Not because of the concern about fashion, because it's none of a concern of mine. But I don't collect watches for that reason. I collect them because they're pieces of art. So I don't know whether you consider fashion as art or not. I'm just leave it as a question mark, because I'm not sure I can give a proper answer on this.
Okay. Anish, is watches a fashion?
I think a purist would answer the same way that Mishaal did, but I think throughout, I mean, if we take everyone as a whole, I think there's definitely a part of it which is maybe not fashion, but I would say linked to status, the same as having a branded jacket, you know, Gucci or Celine or something, as it's the same as wanting to have a watch that's hot right now, you know, a Patek or a Rolex or whatever it is. So in that sense, yeah, the status, I would say, is very similar.
Do you think art is a fashion? Mishaal mentioned art.
I mean, some of it, yeah. I think if you look at certain artists that came into fashion, you know, you look at contemporary artists like Kors or Damien Hirst or all of this stuff, a lot of people don't understand it, but buy it because it's cool and it's nice to say, hey, I own a Kors piece, or I own a Damien Hirst, or I own this, or I own that. And it's not always just for the appreciation of the artist, but it's for the status value that it gives you.
Barbara, can I follow up on that one? And I'll play the devil's advocate this time. And nothing to do with any, but just a
not controversial, though.
Not just a statement.
Right.
So if the watch piece is a fashion piece, and I could find the same copy in Dragon Mart, and I wear it on my hand, it's a fashion piece. Would it be the same? Because for me, it doesn't. It's not the same.
No, but it's not.
Well, how would anyone know?
Well, in this room, I think most people would know.
You'd be amazed. I promise you, you'd be amazed. I was amazed by some of the watches. I was like, really? Are you kidding me? And in some cases, it's 1 millimeter difference, and it's hard to tell. So how would, if it's just knockoff, and if it's just to do with fashion, why would I not wear that? It's cheaper, people think the same, but it's not the same.
I think the secondary point after that status part is now, 2021, the market is dictated a lot by people that are not buying watches because they love that watch or that brand. They're buying it because of the residual value that it gives.
Right.
You know, you go and buy a Daytona for $10,000, $12,000 at retail, and it's worth 30, 35, 40. So that's the second point, you know, is people buying it for that residual value.
But isn't that also kind of in fashion
Yeah, of course,
right now?
absolutely.
I mean, it's the hot trend
Yeah.
to buy them and flip them and hold on to them.
Or even just to have it and be important enough to say, okay, I got this allocation, or I bought this for whatever it was.
Right.
Yep.
But to follow up on what you said, I believe fashion is not only about what people see, what you're wearing, it's also how you feel in it or wearing it.
Yes.
So if you buy something fake, you're not going to feel the same, so it's not the same feeling of fashion.
I agree. By the way, again, following up on Anish's point, if I was to buy a watch because of the financial residual value, people seem to forget what goes up comes down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're buying it because of that, if anyone's buying a watch for that reason, I'm so sorry, they're making a big mistake. You buy it because you love the watch. The watch talks to you. I know this sounds a bit silly, but it does talk to you.
I do want to stick to the fashion part of this question. I mean, there's plenty of questions to get to, but I think we can probably touch on that exact topic in a future question.
I will keep quiet in that case.
Okay. Leonie, this is for you. How do Einstein's theories of time and quantum physics influence today's watchmakers?
What was the first part? How do
Einstein's theories of time and quantum physics influence today's watchmakers? I specifically gave that one to you.
Well, that's putting a lot of pressure on me. So my studies are some years back in material science. So the concept of time is probably still the same also in a watch, but what I prefer more is the concept of how we manage to put some certain pieces of the whole planetary system on it. So I think that does not have much to do with Einstein's theory. So I'm just going to stop here before I say something stupid, and my professor is watching and
whoever wrote that,
telling me
well
like, oh, you had good grades, but you actually it didn't stick to your brain.
2 years ago, we actually had a quantum physicist here, Michael Bierczyk, so I wonder if he would have been able to answer that a little bit more fully, but thanks for the attempt. Good job. Mishaal, this one's going to go to you. It was actually a question for Fabrizio Bonamassa. So you are going to have to answer it as if you were his publicist or his PR firm. So you have to answer it in a sense in his voice. If you can do the Italian accent, that's bonus points. So mention, please, the worst watch design you have seen in the past and in the present days. Thanks. That's why I went to you.
There's one watch company, but I'm not sure. Can I say the name?
You said to me in there, you said, it's not about being controversial, it's about being honest. So be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm supposed to talk on behalf of somebody else, so...
Well, okay, what do you think Fabrizio would say?
I don't know. I have no idea what you'd say. I know what I'd say. Would you like to hear?
Yes.
There are certain companies that should not be watchmakers. They really shouldn't. They should stick to what they are, and they might be really good at what they do, but they should not be watchmakers. One that comes to my mind is a company called Icelink. I don't know if you remember them. I don't know if they still exist or not. Horrible watches. And the other one is a watch, again, I don't want to insult anyone, but Jacob & Co. really shouldn't make watches. That's my personal opinion. I'm not going to be.
Remember I told you
I'm not going to win.
Come from the room. Thank you for your honesty, Mr. Bonamassa. Okay, Anish. Several new independent brands, example Ming, do not have an offline presence. How do you view these companies? Are they competitors to others or nothing to worry about? This was asked to George Kern. So you are going to have to answer as if you were the regional director for Breitling, South Africa.
South Africa. Okay. So in my decades of experience in the South African market, I would say that no. I think the world has changed. I think commerce has changed. 20 years ago, I would be super reluctant to send $500 through PayPal to someone to pay for something on eBay because I would think they're going to, I don't know, clone my credit card or something like that. Now you have purchases of 6-7 figures happening online all the time, and people want that accessibility quick. You know, it's not so much now about going into a boutique and having a glass of champagne and sitting down with a salesperson. For some people, that's not important anymore. They want to acquire whatever it is. So e-commerce is a huge thing for them. And as George Kern, I have, you know, done so many brand partnerships and paid actors and singers and whatever, and
ballerinas.
Yeah, you know, and all of this it drives that awareness to my brand, Breitling, you know, and we are one of the first that did e-commerce, so I think it's a very strong
well done, Anish.
avenue.
Really, you played the part very, very well.
I know.
You have to look angry.
You should have told me. I would have shaved my head as well.
Yes, you shaved your head. Nicely done. Okay, this is going to go to all of you. This is a great one. What is the worst thing you would do for a watch you want?
It was a long time ago in college. I mean, no.
And, go ahead, Anish. You go first.
No. I don't know. I mean,
What's the worst thing you would do for a watch you want?
I don't know. It depends how much you've drunk, I guess. Who you're negotiating with. I mean, there's not really anything that scandalous, I don't think. But you know, to be honest,
well, this is you
in the moment,
about.
I mean, if we look at reality of a situation, there's so many salespeople that work at boutiques or watch brands or whatever it is that have important positions there that can decide allocation for certain things, and there's a lot of customers that would offer them gifts to get allocation of something else. You know, I know salespeople that have been bought cars or motorcycles or sent on holidays and handbags and and all of this stuff. So, I mean, to a point, to have something that, you know, a consumer really wants, that consumer could go to whatever lengths to have it that they feel justifies getting that purchase.
You're still not, that was very diplomatic, but you're not saying what the
I know,
worst thing
I'm avoiding the question.
Like a watch, is there a watch you really want right now?
There's a list of about probably 50 that I really want right now at any given moment.
All right, Leonie. Worst thing you would do?
I also wanted to evade the question, like telling the story of a friend, what he's doing back home. He's dating like all the salespeople really systematically to get to these watches. So but I'm not going to say I'm going to do that.
For a friend.
No, I'm asking for a friend.
No,
I think I would try to get a job at that company, become really successful, then kick out the CEO, and then it's my brand, and then just get me whatever watch from that brand I like.
That's a great answer. That's a fantastic answer. That was a great answer. It's down to you, buddy.
Strangely, nothing. If I'm old enough to know that if you want something, give it enough time, and it'll come to you. If you look at some of the watches now which are being sold on auctions at horrific prices, not for the watch brand there because they're really happy, but for the consumer, I'm like, give it time, because that watch at one point down the future will come back at a lower price. So I'll still get what I want, but I don't have to. I don't have to.
So the worst
kill
thing
myself.
you would do is wait.
Yes.
Great.
That's it.
Okay.
You know, sorry, it's a boring answer, but it's a real thing.
It's an honest answer, which is, again, that's what we talked about. Okay, this one's also going to go to you. We you briefly talked about this in the green room back there. Isn't the return to, and this is in quotes, so my air quotes, that's what it's for, isn't the return to genderless an excuse for watchmakers to become lazy again when it comes to mechanical watches for women?
You know, the strange thing is that a lot of watchmakers originally started, and I'm talking about really historically here, a lot of the watchmakers actually originally started by making watches for women, and then eventually become watchmakers for men. And one of them, which I was shocked to find out about, was IWC, because IWC is a typical male watch. It's boring.
I remember the ads.
And large, and then they went into very nasty ads regarding women. which they decided to ditch. But their history, the origin, are actually making watches for women. So the question of whether a watch is made for a man or made for a woman would depend on literally your wrist size and how comfortable you are wearing a watch that's either bulky or thin. It's your call. If you can afford it, you can have it. That's the way I'd look at it.
But the question is, okay, so I mean, if we're looking at Switzerland here, they fully gave women the right to vote in all the cantons in 1972. So, I mean, I think the question was more like, is there not a fear, at least for women, and I feel it sometimes too, because I'm hot and cold on the gender-neutral label thing. You know, if we tell the Swiss, hey, no more labels, aren't they just going to make all watches for men and not really focus on women? I think there's a little bit of a nervousness there as we rush to go, no labels, watches are for people.
You're discounting the purchasing power that women have globally now. I'm going to build, large companies are going to build, whether it's watches or anything else, towards my target audience. And if my target audience, in this case, we're talking watchmaking, are women and women of significance, yes, I am going to make them. A case in point came to my mind was when Patek Philippe made the first complication specifically for women. It was not necessarily because Patek Philippe needed a new market, for God's sakes. I mean, you can't even get a bloody Patek Philippe if you wanted to. But because they said, you know what, we're going to create something that makes it very special for women, and so they did that. So I think they're not going to become lazy about this. They're going to look and say, you know what, this is the target audience we're looking for. This is the one with the purchasing power. These are the ones who are going to look at the watch. But let's face it, there is one aspect that is different between male and female. In general, I'm not talking specific to a person, but in general, our vanity as men is this, and women's vanity are...
Don't you dare. Don't you
I was
dare.
going to say handbag.
I got a mean right hook. Don't you dare.
Not handbag?
You're just digging yourself in
No,
the
I'm asking,
hole.
isn't it a handbag? No, but each gender has his or her own vanity. And if I'm building something or creating something or selling something, I'm going to be doing it to the vanity of that person. If the vanity shifts, I will shift with it. Because let's face it, do I need any of these products here? Need, not want.
Sure.
The answer is no. Do I want? Oh God, yes.
Okay, all right, we'll talk about that later. This is my favorite one so far, honestly, and I don't think there's going to be a better one. It's just a telephone number. Somebody wrote their telephone number on the card, so I don't know for whom that was on this panel. But, guys, can somebody call it? It's 050. Somebody quick, call this number, because whoever's phone rings, that's what I want to know. 497-5354. That's the telephone number on here, so yeah, somebody call that. Okay, this is also for all. Wrist check. Anish, you go first. Which wearing? Jacob and Company?
Groove Force. I would wear Jacob Company. I have Jacob.
I was like, Gribble Force?
Groove Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leonie?
I have a Rolex. I always told myself with my first salary, I will buy a watch.
Did you?
A Rolex. Yeah, I'm really a branded child. So now as I got into the industry and I was able to talk to all the watchmakers in Switzerland, and I got to love the watchmaking. I got to understand it. I was here getting the watches showed to me. So, yeah, it's a virus, as Kevin said. So, yeah, I called him yesterday at the Jacob & Co. Thing, and I was like, it's a nice watch, but now I'm going to reconsider. But no, it's a...
It's nice jewelry.
Yes.
Jewelry, yes.
So I don't know what my next watch is going to be. For all the watchmakers in here, I'm taking a sponsorship.
So that's the worst thing you would do to get the watch you want. Yes, you're at sponsorship. You want to take over their company, according to your answer previously. Mishaal, what's on your wrist?
It's a Jacques Droz.
Nice. We don't want to show it a little bit?
Here you go.
Oh, very nice.
I don't know
Okay.
to show it to whom.
Well, to the person who asked the question, who hopefully
I
is
don't
in
know
the audience.
where is the person. So I don't
No,
know.
it's anonymous. You can't ask where they are.
Oh, okay, fine.
That's the whole point.
There you go. It's actually 2 seconds worth. This is the exact watch that is made by Breguet. But Breguet usually makes this one, and everyone talks about it. Jacques Droz actually made a watch that looks exactly like a Breguet. So I said, I want to have a watch that is classy and yet unusual. That's it.
That is a brilliant. Oh, I'm wearing a Moser and a Breitling Navitimer 35. If anybody cared.
Sponsored by two, or why?
That's sponsored. Yeah, exactly. You just mentioned Breguet. Anish, this question is going to go to you. Has the Swatch Group ruined Breguet beyond any help?
Oh, I disagree.
You guys.
Ouch. I think if, from my opinion, not gospel, but my opinion is that if Breguet was an independent brand, it would run in a much different way. I think the product offering would be vastly different. I think the selection of products to be brought out wouldn't be designed by statisticians and accountants, but would be designed by watchmakers that understand what a beautiful watch is, and not, you know, okay, let's make this in a different color, in this style for this market and whatever. So I think that is, a lot of that is the curse of being part of a big group, where you have to meet ever-increasing production numbers and sell X% more than last year, and a brand loses its soul a lot because of that. And yeah, to be honest, I mean, I feel like Breguet is a victim of that.
Thank you. I hope that sufficed to our question asker. Leonie, because you kind of see the future a bit, what does the watch industry look like in 2050?
I think we will always stick to mechanical art. There will never be any piece of chip or software or something connected there, because we have companies like Apple Watch, Garmin, Polar that doing that, and we will never get that hardware in a mechanical watch with the same functionalities we have with the Apple Watch. So I truly believe it will forever stay truly mechanical, a piece of art with a lot of emotions. And I think that we all have two wrists, so even though smartwatches might grow, it educates young people's wrist to wear then one day a mechanical watch once we're ready. So it stays a piece of art, I would say, but with the help of technology, we can enhance that emotion that's in that piece and help the brands, mainly in Switzerland, transform or transmit that emotion all around the globe. Because why I'm doing this company is every day when I get up, I want to help the Swiss watch industry to be there forever, also in the future when the new generation that grew up with the phone might not understand what you all know. So I hope that we can take all that heritage we have back home and spread it around the globe and educate the new generation of what piece of emotion that is and what history and tradition is in a piece of watch.
I hope that comes true. That was a brilliant answer to that question. Okay, this is going out to all of you. I'm going to start with you. Who, or what, I guess, do you wish did not exist so you didn't have any competition?
Every person in an auction house. When I go to bid for a watch, I just wish the one watch that, and especially now, there are certain watches I really want, and then you start seeing it getting to the point where it's stupid in terms of price, and you go, I'm not bidding anymore. But it's those people I just would, would evaporate. Just for that auction point. Once the watch is purchased, they can come back in. It's okay.
Anish, how about you?
I think anyone else on the wait list for Richard Mille, so, which is following in the same line of exactly what you said.
Leonie?
I wouldn't have a watch-related answer, so I'm going to...
No, it doesn't have to be watch-related. It's just, is there a girl from high school who picked on you? Just who do you wish?
No, it's all our...
boyfriend.
It's all our competitors out there doing the same, so yeah.
So all of them, all of your competitors?
No, some are good because they're educating the market.
So give me one. Who's bad?
No, I'm not going to say names.
I love making you uncomfortable. This is so fun.
No, that's going to end bad. This panel is going to be on YouTube, and then they're not going to work with us.
Okay, all right. You're right. It is going to be
competition is good.
It is.
It motivates you. And to be honest, like good competition of other people that are also doing great things in whatever it is. Like, let's say, okay, from a media point of view, people like Wei and what he's done. That's great. That's amazing, And you need competition. Like, you can't be the only one doing it because you'll never challenge yourself, or you never learn from anyone else, and you'll never see that other people do great stuff and be inspired to also do great stuff. So no competition is super counterproductive.
Agree. I think he's going to stick with his answer
Extend my
about the
check.
auction house, though. Yeah. Okay, and this is going to go back to you, actually, Anish. Bloggers, vloggers, influencers, micro-influencers, and TikTok. What comes next, and are we stuck with this marketing model?
No, I think evolution is always happening. 20 years ago we had, huge reference books like this and a couple of forums like Time Zone or Purist or whatever to learn about watches from. Then came social media, and that was the evolution. And now the younger generation, younger than us, are using these new platforms, and it's a very quick, easy way to share information or to share your passion, and the eyeballs that you have are much bigger. So there's always going to be an evolution. It's always going to keep changing. There's going to be something else and something after that. So I think rather than say, oh, all this new stuff is coming and, I don't like it, embrace it and work with it. Because I'm 40 now, but when I was 20, that's when I fell in love with watches. And now people much younger than me are learning about this stuff, and that's great. That's what I always wanted, is I wanted to share this love that I have for watchmaking with other people and younger people that would find it at a much earlier age. So, I think it's something to embrace and to evolve with.
My son is 15. I got a Watchanish hat from you, black with the pink lion, back at Watch Time years ago. It is his favorite hat. He wears it. It's so filthy. He wears it constantly at 15 years old. He knows who you are. He loves it. So, yeah, I mean, we're kind of not stuck. I think stuck might be the, I mean, it wasn't my question, but this is it. It's not going away.
No, but even look at an event like this, Dubai Watch Week. Like, it's so interactive. There's so many cool things happening. The setup is amazing. Like 10, 15 years ago, we would go to Basel, and the best thing about Basel was the social aspect of it. We're not going. I'm not a trader. I don't sell watches. I go there to see new pieces, and I go there to meet my peer group, my friends, people that I know. I might meet them once a year at Basel. But now you have something like this, which has so many different facilities. It's interactive. This is streaming on YouTube, and you've got all this stuff happening. That's evolution. That's the evolution of a watch exhibition now.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay, Mishaal, coming back to you now. I feel like I might know this answer already. Which micro brand can challenge the existing big names, such as Rolex, AP, etc.? Micro brand.
I don't know if you count it as a micro brand anymore, because it was because Chanel bought into it. But without a doubt in my head, FP Jeune is.
That's an independent brand, not I don't think he was ever a micro brand.
When it first started, it was.
Okay.
So again, how do you define this? I mean, how small do you want to go down to in terms of a brand?
I think we see micro brands too as the lesser expensive. Like the indies, obviously,
right.
like there's indie brands and then micro brands.
If I was to tell you about a brand that really has caught my attention and is driving me crazy because I love the work, it's got to be a brand from Japan. It's called Tokyo Chrono.
Yeah.
It's the watch.
And they're hard to get.
You can. If you overpay, you can.
Yeah.
But the watch itself, the weight, the sit, the function, and the design. It's an absolutely gorgeous watch. But if you want to talk that small, as a micro, that's one that's really very attractive, and it's driving me nuts because I want more of it.
Right. No, that's actually a great answer. Okay, this is going to all, thanks to whoever asked this. When is the last time you got into a physical fight?
You asking me?
Leonie, I'm going to start with you. When was the last time you went fisticuffs?
In a physical fight?
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have. That was for sure many times I fight it with my brother. So by intention or by accident?
Option C, all of the above.
So I used to play soccer for 15 years before I broke my ankle. And there, my father always told me to, if you run with your elbows outside. You're going to be much faster. So that's like always when you run in the middle of field, going close to the goal. Yeah, that's where my little fight started.
Okay. Oh, really? You want to tell us a little bit about it? Some popcorn in here, please. Anish?
Girls soccer is actually quite heavy, yeah.
Oh, you know, my
It's,
daughter plays. Yeah, I believe me. I
yeah,
know.
boys
Yeah.
soccer is like you touch one, but with girls you actually.
I remember at the Women's World Cup, Abby Dahlkemper split her head open at the most recent Women's World Cup when the U.S. won. Thank you again. And they literally she had blood running down. She was like, put a Band-Aid on it. They put a Band-Aid on it, and she went out, and I was going, this would never happen in men's soccer.
No,
ever.
2 ambulances would have been
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anish, physical fight. You can give us a year, an experience.
Yeah, siblings, of course, brothers and cousins and stuff. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like 5'6" and I haven't been to the gym in decades. I don't think fighting is the direction that I would go in if I had to choose something to do. So
You're a lover, not a fighter. Is that what you're saying?
I would argue, no problem. But
No, but no
you
knuckle
gotta
sandwiches.
just stick to your strengths.
All right. Physical fight?
I can't remember. High school?
High school? Yeah, high school?
Yeah, that's the last time I can remember having a fight. But it's been cerebral fights more than a physical fight.
None of you guys are from Philadelphia, let me tell you. All right, Anish. Who is listening to the women who want female watches with complications and beautiful mechanics?
Van Cleef, I think, makes some amazing complicated watches for women. Beautiful designs. I think, it's tough, There's high jewelry, you have a lot of options for women, really beautiful craftsmanship and stuff like this. But if I have to choose one brand that makes beautiful women's watches, it's Van Cleef. Complicated women's watches.
Can you explain me why the movement for women watches is always less complicated?
No, not really. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think... I think that there's a stigma always that men want something complicated and they understand the mechanics, and women just want a watch that's quartz and they don't want to know that you have to manual wind it or whatever it is. And this is obviously not a true fact, but it's probably something that is...
We're preconditioned to believe
Yeah,
that, I think.
yeah.
Mechanics, aesthetics,
Yeah.
right? Men mechanics, women
Yeah,
aesthetics.
yeah.
But yeah. So, and if you feel that you don't know enough about it to answer the question, that's fine. I'll throw something else hard your way. So,
Yes.
Mishaal.
What, you expect me to seriously answer that question?
Can you please? Oh no, that's right. It was Anish. I'm sorry. It wasn't at all. That's my fault. Okay, this one is for you, though. Don't you think it's an ego approach from the brands to control the market in such a way? Wouldn't the money be put to a better cause, such as ending world hunger? Not my question.
I don't know who asked that question, and I hope that to God this person's not here in the audience, because what I'm about to say is not going to be very pleasing to that person. It's not the concern of the company to finish or end world hunger. It's an entity. It's a business. It's there to make money. Am I happy with the way some of these companies sit and play with the market? No. As a consumer, no, I'm not really happy. But from a business perspective, what they're doing is taking advantage of an opportunity. Hey, good luck and more power to them. Do I like it? As a consumer, no, I hate it. I hate the fact that when you call it, you have to sit on waiting lists. You have to be a favorite customer of theirs. You have to interact with person X or person Y, or in some cases, gifts, as you quite mentioned before, giving people gifts, which I think is mad, but still. But the fact that they are there as a business, to function as a business, to ensure that they produce more products that I want because they are making more money, hey, more power to them. Well, it's not a concern to save the world.
So we got a woo on that one. All right. Okay. All right. Leonie, what trends do you see in future watches?
Tough one. So I might see a trend that women watches get more complicated. So because as we might also start to appreciate, I feel we just need more education. Same with financial industry, they now start to bank women, but they need more education. So might with watches be the same. So you can start like a second account, put on some long hair and educate women. So yeah, that might be one for me.
That would be a future trend?
Yeah.
More mechanical watches for women. Okay. Anish, let's talk in-house for a moment. In-house, air quotes, in-house for a moment. Have people finally seen past the marketing bullshit? That says it here. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Does anyone care anymore? Do you think there will be ever be a legal definition that is federally regulated, like what is done with Swiss made or made in America?
I think people are a lot more educated now on what is in-house and what is kind of component bought and then slightly altered and called in-house. And I think the consumer, because the consumer is much more educated, brands have to and have changed their tactic to try to incorporate more in-house. But true in-house, there's very few brands that really truly make everything in-house, you know. And I mean, I don't really like the legal loophole of Swiss made being, you know, X% being made and final, or the cost of X% of this product and final assembly in Switzerland means it's Swiss made, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that isn't really Swiss made, you know, but it just about crosses that border. But I think the few brands that do really make or make as much as they can in-house, people understand that a lot more now, you know. And by that term, it should have some legal box that classifies its terminology properly.
Does it matter to you? Just, I mean, to follow up with that, does it matter to you when you buy a watch? Like, are you more drawn to something that has an in-house?
I'm drawn to the value proposition. You know, I would buy. It doesn't have to be in-house for me to like it. But it's what the value proposition is. It's what the beauty of that piece is. Emotionally, what does it say to me? That's more important,
okay,
in my opinion.
Cool. All right, this is going to go out to all of you. Anish, we're going to start with you again. Is there anything which can stop LVMH from taking over the whole luxury industry? No. Why? And why?
Okay, yeah, but look at what they've built, you know, in this time. It's insane. Everything from luxury leather goods to Fed ship to real estate to alcohol to whatever. I mean, that's insane, that business, what they have built. So in the short answer, no. Not really.
Mishaal, what do you think?
I think they're a well-managed company. They've done something which most companies have not been able to do, which is not only acquire companies, but absorb them once they've acquired them. They've upgraded a lot of the companies that they bought into, but will they ever buy the world in terms of, at least from watch side? You have 1, 2, 3 significant groups that are their competitor, if you want. And I sincerely doubt that they will ever open up their books and say, you know what, hey, come buy us. So as long as there is friendly competition along those lines, you know, the good thing about having an in-house, a large house to back you, is you have the money to do R&D, and you have certain amount of new technologies that you can bring in into your art that you couldn't do before. So yes, that's actually a positive thing. Do I want it all to be under one house? No, because then they will all, you know, there's no competition, there's no new thoughts, new ideas. They'll just be churning out the new things, and everyone will be having to buy the same thing again and again. So I hope that doesn't happen.
What do you think, Leonie?
I do agree, but there might be the customer that could do something to stop it because they still value independent brands, everything in-house. But I think the concept of small brands agglomerating in large groups is that the costs can be distributed along all these brands, so operations can be managed from the top. You get some alignment, you can do e-commerce store together, so you can split, especially on the IT side, all these costs and distribute them along the brands. But I think the customer then still values a family-owned traditional brand where you can go visit and have some emotional connection and know who is behind that brand, and it's just one big group. And there might be some customers not wanting that. I think LVMH just bought Crocs, the plastic shoes, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
So you might still...
I live in America. I've seen plenty of Crocs.
So there might be customers valuing a brand owned by a family or traditional that just do luxury.
Okay. All right. Great answers, actually, everybody. Anish, How does the watch industry answer the charge that it will sell to anyone, no matter how evil?
I think now they're probably a lot more careful in terms of how that's seen, but without venturing anyway into politics, one side or the other. But we've seen important watches with the signature on the dial of Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, and a number of people that some people would argue are evil, or whatever, however you would term it. I don't know. I mean, who does the KYC or the allocation? Who decides that at a brand? Is it at boutique level? Is it higher up than that? I don't really know.
Are they buying it via gray market?
Yeah, also. So yeah.
Interesting. There were some names mentioned on here, but we kind of thought for political purposes we would not say the second part of that, but you touched on that yourself, so that's good. All right, to all of you, and I'm going to start with you, Leonie, name 3 brands. Now, you said you've been in the brand expo, so you should be familiar at this point. Name 3 brands that are on the right track and 3 that need to shift direction.
You're putting me on a hard situation because, I have to work with all of them. But I can mention some names. So one I really like is Norca.
I love Norca.
I really like how young they are, innovative, and how they have drive. So the other one is Kröbel Force, because they've been the first brand I talked to where I realized how expensive brands can be. And then I came here and realized, it seems to be the standard. So I really like what they're doing. They're innovative, they're trying. And I also like brands that aren't represented here, like Victorinox, for example. So when we talk to these higher volume but lower price brands, we feel that they're quite innovative on the tech side.
On the tech side. And so do you want to mention 3 that you feel need to share, or no, you're going to claim the 5th on this one? Not going to go there.
Pass.
I'll let you off the hook.
Yeah.
Anish.
I mean,
3 and 3.
A number of cool independent brands that in the last few years have done very well. Fijon, you can say for sure. Debetune now is following the same way. MB&F, Grubel, a lot of these cool independent brands, Ressence, what they've done at a lower price point, for example. I think this shift of people who are not able to buy, let's say, the mainstream watches that everyone wants, like a Nautilus or a certain Rolex or AP or whatever, are saying, okay, well, instead of spending 150 in the grey market, $150,000 on a steel Nautilus, I would rather buy an MB&F or an Urwerk or a Debetune. So for these brands, it's a great position to be in as an independent brand.
What about 3 that need to shift their focus?
Yeah, thanks.
Be diplomatic.
Okay, we talked about Breguet as one, probably Blancpain in the same position a little bit. If I think about the brands, it's normally all group brands, IWC probably, to some point, in my opinion, it's lost a little bit of its direction. And I think it goes back to that same thing. It's managed, under a blanket of a group, and it loses, in my opinion, a lot of the identity and the soul because of that.
Sure. Kind of getting lost, too.
Yeah.
And Mishaal? 3 and 3. 3 that are doing it right, 3 that need to shift.
Okay. One, I'm biased in one of the companies I'm going to talk about because I've invested in it, which is Czepek. And I love what they've done and what they're doing. And for me, it's a stunning watch. The new, especially the Antarctic, the new watch. Usually the ones who are talking about who have come up and become significant are the independent ones. Again, I don't want to be unfair with all the brands, but Louis Moinet, I'll pronounce his name properly, Moinet, produces some beautiful watches. Laurent Ferrier produces some beautiful watches. I could go on and on and on in terms of the ones who are coming up with such gorgeous watches, and watches you go, yeah, they're not only on the right track, but they're going to continue to do beautiful things. Now, on the ones who are doing, think you already have an idea of which one I think.
Well, yeah, but there's got to be others. Come on. We can't just dogpile on Jacob & Co.
Another one that seemed to have just lost its way and just died. I mean, it came out with a big splash and then just died. Was Frank Villa. It had a nice. If you look at it on the paper, on pictures, it's gorgeous. But look at it in real life, it's huge. It's massive. And I'm thinking, whose hands is this for? An ogre? I couldn't figure this out.
You've seen Panerai, right? Nothing. Sorry.
Which one?
Sorry. No. I said you've seen Panerai, right?
You have a lot of brands who are coming out thinking, you know what? I'm not going to focus on trying to actually produce what I'm passionate about and what I care about, and I'm going to produce something which I think is just going to serve my customer base because they're the ones I'm going to make the most money out of. And usually they don't last. They just won't last because after all, if there's no passion behind it, if you don't feel there's any connectivity between you and the brand, you know, after a while it's just bling and goes away.
So do you think a shift in direction for them would actually improve their
I don't know if it's the
value and
DNA
their
of certain companies to do that. I don't know. Because some people are born from passion, and some people are just blah. And blah with a lot of diamonds sells, sadly, but it does. But if you add passion, it doesn't have to be something that's conventional. If it's done with passion and it's unconventional, it still will stick. And case in point with the last panel here, we was sitting in with Felix Baumgartner from Urwick. It's not necessarily a watch that will, you know, like, oh yeah, I want that watch. But if you know and understand the history, and you understand the person, you understand what went into this, it makes you go, yes, that's an interesting watch, and I want it. And that's something you can't create. You either have it or you don't.
Sure. All right, that's one brand. Two others.
No, I mentioned two. The first one was.
Okay, true. One more. Come on, give me one more. Just a shift. It doesn't have to be like who you want to fall off the face of the earth. Just who do you think is like, gosh, they really lost their way?
I would agree with Anish in terms of saying it's Blancpain as well, because at one point. Oh, wait a second, I just thought of another one.
I knew if I poked you enough.
Hublot is another one. Hublot are hit and miss. They have few that are spectacular and a lot that are the. And I wish that they'd actually, again, can they manufacture, Blancpain has the same thing, can they manufacture watches that are stunning? The answer is yes, they can. Do they want to? I don't know. Because most of the ones that they come up with are just the same thing again and again. And I'm going to become very controversial in what I'm about to say. I also think Richard Mille falls along those lines. Richard Mille produces excellent watches in every aspect, but it's busy. Sometimes the more expensive the watch is, the busier it is, the harder it is to see. I'm like, okay, yes, you have a fantastic amount of technology in that watch. Yes, the concept and the idea has been great, but I can't see the time. What's the whole purpose of having that watch in that case? Just to show, look, I have a big watch. But again, can they do it? I will disagree, by the way, on the issue of Breguet. I actually think Breguet has done a superb. Breguet was always the watch when as a child, it was always the watch I wanted. It's the one I couldn't get. It was the one that just said, it's so classy, it's so. It's a statement. It's a statement watch. Would I say that for all the line of Breguet? No. But for some of the work that they do, oh, they are stunning.
Yeah, there's no denying that. But just from where they are right now in the world compared to where they were when you were a child, like you just said, you feel that they're fine, they don't need to shift focus at all?
As far as Breguet is concerned? Mm-hmm. No, I think, again, it's a difference of opinion, but I think Breguet actually is producing more and more finer timepieces because of the backing of Swatch. They wouldn't. I know what happened before because my family was part of the Investcorp when it bought out what you call Breguet when it was dying. We saw what happened to it. And we saw what happened when Swatch took over. And Swatch took over. It really reinvigorated that brand again. Are all the watches perfect? No. But they have some are absolutely stunning.
So obviously there's not going to be a Q&A because this is the Q&A, but we are kind of there's no Q&A. We are winding down, so there's going to be a couple of other questions. I was originally just going to ask you this one, Leonie, but I am going to kick it to the entire panel because I think it's a great question. And Mishaal, I'm going to start with you. Is Kickstarter a blessing or a curse on the watch industry? And does being a, quote, Kickstarter brand impact the credibility of the brand or product? Discuss.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know, because it does allow people who have an idea to create something and move it. But is it necessarily enough to give it the whole structure that you need to become a significant watchmaker? I don't think so. It's a nice idea. It helps people recognize a new concept and a new idea that's coming up. But that's just a start point. It's like eating an appetizer and thinking, oh, you've had the main. It's not there. It's not the same. Would those micro brands exist without this Kickstarter and the different types of Kickstarter that are out there? Probably no.
No.
They probably would not exist.
Sure. So do you think it's a blessing or a curse?
It's an interesting aspect. Is it going to be? Am I ever going to say, you know what, I'm not buying Breguet anymore, I'm going to buy whatever this small brand is? No. But they will come up with new ideas and new thoughts and new processes and new visions and everything that's different that these normal brands will not touch because they have a certain standard they want to keep up. These have no standard because they're just starting, so they can have any standard they want. They will come and create a little ripple. Maybe that ripple is insignificant, or maybe that ripple is so significant it changes the industry. We don't know because it's just starting. That's it.
I think that's the game of ventures or startups in general. Like you have 10 companies starting and there is 9 of them, they won't be there in a year or 2 years, and the one that is changing the industry. So I would like to give the question back, like, why would it be bad to buy a watch from a Kickstarter? Or
why would it be bad?
Yeah. How could it be a burden?
I think that's actually the question,
okay.
though. Is it bad? Do you look at it? We have 3 people from 3, you're a futurist, and obviously, Anish, clearly the original influencer, I think, in this industry. So all 3 of you have very different backgrounds, loving watches or not loving watches, new to watches, been in watches forever. So what, in your opinion, now again, you are the younger generation and you kind of are so familiar with Kickstarter, where Anish is 40, I'm 49. I'm not going to ask Mishaal because I don't want to dislike, oh, there you go, 52. So for you, I mean, do you think that it has potential to be good, or do you think, no, it may just be a stain on the industry?
So, as I said, I don't understand why it wouldn't be good, so I'm looking into the arguments the experts have, but it's just a way of getting access to money, and it's getting easier and easier. And either you have a huge group that is investing in the brand, you have venture capitalists, you have a family that's giving the cash, or you have the people, peer-to-peer, from a Kickstarter event believing in the brand. So the concept is always the same. You do marketing, you convince, you sell, and someone is giving you cash. And I think that concept just gave many small brands, entrepreneurs like myself, the possibility to start a brand and do something. And from how it is back home in Switzerland is that jobs are created by the small brands, the SMEs. So I think everyone that has his or her own idea and wants to do something and has that easy access to support should do it. And I think it's a cool thing.
Anish?
Yeah, I think it's a great platform to allow people to showcase an idea, and if the idea is good, hopefully it'll work, and if it sucks, then it won't. I think that's kind of it. I mean, I can't remember. I don't think I've ever bought a watch through a Kickstarter project or campaign. Doesn't mean that it's not good, but maybe it just wasn't to my taste or whatever. But I see a lot of stuff that I just wouldn't buy. But in the end, okay, it's instant feedback. It's mass funding, and if the idea is good, people buy it, and if it's not good, they won't. I feel it's quite simple like that.
What I think is really funny is, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Alpina do one watch some years back where they actually used a Kickstarter campaign for a very specific watch? Do you remember that at all?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Alpina did, right? Yeah, it was like their... It was, yeah. That's right. So, I mean, here you have even a brand that it's for Constant, Alpina, I think they're all under the Citizen Group, like, that used Kickstarter. And was Brew through Kickstarter or? Chopek, that's another one. Yeah, that's right. That's a valid point.
Yes.
That was a great question. Okay, Mishaal, I'm going to kick this one to you. Do you think, and this is a longer question, do you think we will ever see the watch industry move from the big boys and girls club to a more inclusive club physically and visibly? Allow the younger pop culture and not just the design on like celebrities, but more like the regular enthusiasts. In other words, seeing more people who look like the people in this room look like, as opposed to it being, shiny, happy people.
Everyone seems to forget that these are businesses. They're there to make money. They're profit-generating businesses with shareholders. Yes, they would like to have the lovey-dovey, feel touchy-feely, and everyone is part and parcel of the environment. But let's face it, they're there to make money. What's the easiest way to make money? Aim at a certain segment, and that segment is those who can afford you. And they keep on pushing the umbrella, pushing it up and up and up. Because as long as people are willing to pay for it, and as long as people look at it and want it, I don't see any reason why they should shift that mentality. Now, if they want to do it from the goodness of their heart, and good for them, but please don't think of them as a humanitarian company. They're not. No one is. I mean, I don't know if any of you work for what you call for companies, but even when they do the CSR and the ESGs and all the new acronyms are coming up, they're doing it because either they're legislated to do it or because they feel pressure to do it from a social perspective. But I promise you, if the legislation and the social pressure was not there, you wouldn't see a cent in these things. Why? Because the whole purpose is to be a business. Please, let's not forget this. And I'm not saying this to be nasty or to be cruel, but this is what they are.
Thank you for that. That was a good answer. And very Georges Kern-like, in fact, in your delivery. It's pretty funny. Okay, we just have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to go one more question for you, Anish, and then one question to the entire panel, which should be a fairly short one. How big is the potential for new micro brands in the mass market, and how does it impact a brand's strategy, or the brand strategy of the established brands?
There's a lot of potential now. The buying public and the buying audience is huge compared to what it was a few years ago. So I think if you come with something cool and cool, you look at a brand on the opposite end of the scale, like Furlan Murray, for example. Really cool design, super affordable, but it's selling at like 5-10 times whatever its retail price is, which is crazy, for something at that price point. But they did something really cool, They found something in the market that was lacking for people who want to buy a nice watch that doesn't look like shit and actually feels like it's well made and has nice details to it. And they can't afford to buy a $24.99, or a really beautiful, other reference, Patek or Vacheron. But they can afford to buy this, and that's really cool. So they came in and they saw an opportunity, and they did really well. So there's huge opportunities if you do something in a cool way for a micro brand to grow and become established very quickly now.
Do you think the fact that it's funny because you mentioned liking Norqain, and the first thing you said when you said, oh, I like Norqain, is they're young. Do you and again, these guys are young that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that we're seeing more brands sort of come out of the woodwork, Brew, I think, is another one. I'll mention them again, Jonathan. These people are young. They're either millennials or they're Gen Zers, and they're like, kind of hip people. And do you think that has anything to do with their ability to actually reach this younger generation? Like people can actually, if you can see it, you can be it?
I think they, at some point, were their own consumer, right? It's like, hey, I really love, the design of this, but I can't really afford it because it's, it's this or whatever. So, if I could design something, I would do something like this at this type of price point. Norqain is a great example, really, really cool, young, great price position, and it's doing super well because of that.
Yeah, and the
So-
sustainability
yeah,
part
exactly.
too, the vegan straps and everything
yeah,
that they're
yeah.
doing. So that's great. Okay, this is going to be the last question. I'm going to start with you, Leonie. How do you clean your watches?
I don't know if you have to clean them, so I don't. I go swimming and showering with them, so I hope they clean themselves. But when I bought the bracelet, they gave me something to clean it, but I actually never used it. So yeah.
Thank you for your
I
honesty.
think I don't have that special watch like other people here, or that.
Even with COVID, you didn't clean? No, I'm joking. I'm totally messing with
that
you.
high value, but yeah. So sometimes when you go to the store, they take your jewelry and they clean it for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant service of retailers to when you walk in, help you there
Don't
out.
ever let
and
them polish it,
Like
don't
they
you?
always think, oh, Leonie, so dirty watch.
Anish, how do you clean your watch?
Yeah, my butler does it. Making my bed and before I have breakfast.
Your
So you clean them.
No, I mean, yeah, but
Or
just,
you-
normal, like with a cloth or whatever. They don't tend to get super dirty.
Right.
So it's
This
not
somebody
something I
asked- this
put
was
so
a-
much thought into.
This was
to
a
be honest.
question asked by someone, and I chose to make it last. I don't know why. Mishaal, you?
You know, a lot of people try to overthink things. The easiest way to clean it is actually to blow on the watch, just to get the dust off.
Dust off.
And the other thing is a regular cloth that you use for cleaning glasses is more than enough for you to keep at least the thing ticking. I mean, you're not going to sit and intricately go through it. Well, at least I hope you won't. But it's just a cloth, and take care of it. Make sure the watch, when you finish with it, goes back in its box. There's a reason it has a house. We go to our house. We go to our house in the same thing. The watch, it's there for that. And by the way, the longer you take care of your watch, the more likely the watch is going to keep on ticking.
It's true. Well, listen, this is it. This is the last Horology Forum panel. Thank you so much to the Siddiqui family for inviting me. Thank you to these amazing panelists. This went so well. I hope you guys thought so too. Thank you to Hind and her team. What a way to come back, right? What a way to come back after the pandemic for a moment in time. So thank you guys. Thanks for coming to this. Oh, nice.